Hey everyone, welcome to an uncapped. I guess this one isn't a liquid lunch. This is more of a. It's not
Liquid
even.
dinner.
We'll call it a nightcap.
There, I like that.
Nightcap. Where today it's a special occasion. We're joined by Eric Rice from Willow Oaks. Is it cider and wine, or what's the?
It is technically Willow Oaks. Well, it's Willow Oaks craft cider and wine because we do both.
Okay. Thank you for joining us. And
our pleasure.
Longtime friend of the show, Braden Bumpers from McClintock Hand Sanitizing Company.
Cheers.
So the reason we're all together today is because Willow Oaks and McClintock made this awesome partnership where actually we'll hold up the originating products first. There's, oops, that's so hard to. So these are the apple wine and pear wine that Willow Oak made, and I'm probably oversimplifying everything right now, so the experts can correct me once I go botch all this. And then Braden took it, and in between making hand sanitizer, they made these. Was that correct?
Pretty close.
Yeah.
What we actually made was this first. So this is a black twig cider made from an antique, a heritage black twig apple, which looks like this. And which is an old North Carolina, Tennessee mountain apple from about 1830s or 40s that Andrew Jackson probably saved from extinction because it was the basis of his cidery and distillery business in Nashville. And it was the first thing I planted on the farm, on the orchard when we bought it in 1985, because I met this in graduate school and fell in love with it. And it makes this fantastic cider, which is the base of both of these products that you're talking about, Chris.
I mean this in the nicest way possible. That apple is really ugly.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So good hard cider apples are not pretty things. They are gorgeous, and they demonstrate that beauty is only skin deep. And you know that real beauty is inner beauty, right? And so just look at that creature. I mean, it's maroon, it's splotchy, it's misshapen, and it is gorgeous. It comes in from the orchard at about 17% bricks, 17% sugar. It ferments to 9-10% alcohol, and it makes great cider and then great products from cider.
So is that the kind of apple that you definitely wouldn't want to eat? Like if you just ate it, it wouldn't taste good, but it's perfect for making cider?
Well, yes and no. So we have some cider apples that's true for. We have a mystery tannic cider apple that's about 22% sugar, which is where red wine grapes start. And then they go up a little bit from that. And so it ferments incredibly. And when you take the first bite, it's so sweet you can't believe it. And in about 2 seconds, it makes you shiver because it has so much tannin in it that you can't actually chew and swallow it. And so some of them you can't eat. This one you can. This one actually, it keeps getting sweeter. This is from last October. It's still really hard, really juicy. And if you bite into it, you don't taste that it's actually sweet because it has acid and tannin, the things that modern apples mostly have bred out of them, especially the tannin. Some new apples like Honeycrisp have really good sugar and really good acid. That's the balance that makes it explode in your mouth. But the tannin is gone from the modern apples.
Completely off topic. What's that new apple that's a crisp that's super delicious? Do you have any idea?
I think it's Honeycrisp.
No, there's a newer one.
Newer one. I don't know. Pink Lady is a new one, but I know there's a new crisp coming this year.
I can't remember the name of it. It's so good. And it's not ugly.
Yeah, we don't grow modern apples. We only grow the gnarly looking creatures.
That was when I first started learning about cider. That was something that kind of surprised me. That I always assumed that cider was just made from like any apple that you would go grab from a grocery store and eat. But I learned that most cider is made from apples that you wouldn't want to consume other than from cider.
Well, it depends a little bit. Heritage ciders are made from apples you might not necessarily go out and choose to consume. But a lot of the modern sweet ciders are made from dessert apples. It's the reason they actually don't have a whole lot of depth or backbone or character.
Okay.
But let me be clear, that's my opinion.
Well, the only other cidery we've talked to had the same opinion, so we'll just go with that as gospel truth. All right, so the intermediate step was that cider.
Yeah.
And
so the cider first. The cider goes to Braden, and then Braden distills the cider, and some of that he keeps, and he can talk more about that process. And some of it comes back, and then we use what comes back with a combination of finished cider, meaning that's fermented all the way out and aged, and cider that is still working. And those things together, along with the wonderful distillate that Braden and Tyler send back to us, then go into an oak barrel for a period of time, an American oak whiskey barrel. And after about, depending on what it is, the Harley's Keep that you're looking at sat in the barrel for about 8 to 10 months. The Bequest was only in the barrel about 2 months, which is why it's going to be sweeter when you taste it, among other things. It's not going to have as much tannin back as the Harley's Keep.
so, Brandon, that is what was used for the apple eau de vie, right?
Yes. So it was the eau de vie that we did is a pomace brandy, which means we took the cores and peels from those apples that Eric had, and then we took them, used hot water to extract some of the remaining sugars out of the peels, fortified it with a little bit extra sugar, and then fermented that. So the result is something that's a little bit lighter than like a traditional apple brandy. It's a little bit more effervescent, and it has a really cool finish to it as well. And then the pear brandy that we did was distilled straight from the pear cider that Eric did. So they're two kind of very different styles of brandy that turned out, very unique from each other, which was very cool.
What does eau de vie mean?
So it's a style of brandy that was kind of popularized in France. There's a bunch of different styles of eau de vie. Kind of the traditional is actually like an unaged fruit brandy. It can be made from, very popular from grapes, from apples, from pears, really from any kind of fruit that's there. What we wanted to do with this was take this one style of eau de vie that was popular in like the Alpine region of France and combine it with the aging side of like a Calvados on the north side of France. So you get this robust barrel presence, but the brandy itself doesn't overshadow that. It's a little bit lighter, and you really, really get these beautiful aromatics from it.
So I just noticed that it's 43% alcohol. Kind of wish I would have poured myself a little bit less. But I think someone's going to be going to bed early tonight. But I just took my first sip. I wanted to do it while the camera wasn't on me, just in case. And it's really good. I really like this.
Yeah. It has like, a lot of the like nice, like robust barrel characteristics that you would find in like a nice whiskey, which is what we've been, recommending. I think this is best either neat or with a splash of water or a cube of ice in there, because it really has like that backbone that you can enjoy it on its own.
Yeah, I went with my favorite cocktail, a couple cubes of ice. And and I'm glad you said that, because I was worried about saying how much it made me think of whiskey. I'm worried that I was stupid and that was completely wrong. So I'm glad you brought that up on your own, and that I'm not.
So this one was aged in an American oak barrel. It was charred. It was a used bourbon barrel, so it's not going to be quite as vanilla and caramel heavy as you would get with like a bourbon or a rye. But it will have those really, really rich kind of charcoal wood smoky notes. that we thought we didn't want it to be too sweet because the eau de vie already has that natural bright fruit body to it. And we just wanted to kind of mellow it out in a whiskey barrel that Eric was nice enough to track down for us before we had our own bourbon in stock.
So why do you need to, for the apple brandy, go from the cider, but for the pear you went straight from pear? That one was straight from pear wine or not?
Yes, so that was from his cider, his pear cider.
Okay.
And that was the first project, is that, for Eric's wines, and he can talk more about this, about, how it's utilized in these higher proof port style wines. He brought us some of the pear and we distilled it for him to use to fortify his wines. And it was so delicious that we asked him to keep a little bit for ourselves that we could age on site until pear brandy. And then the eau de vie, it was kind of something that we had been kicking around for a while, and we loved what Eric is doing, and the quality of his fruit is incredible. So we thought it'd be a perfect experiment to run, and it came out better than I had hoped. Being a grain-based person, fruit scares me a little bit, but with Eric's fruit, he makes it easy.
These are your first brandies, right?
They are.
Okay. Glad I got that right.
Yeah. Definitely. Brandy is something I love drinking, but I've been in this industry for a while, and most of what I've been working on at different distilleries in McClintock is very grain focused. So I haven't had a ton of experience making fruit, and working with somebody as experienced as Eric really helped us kind of realize what we were doing here.
So how did this collaboration come about?
Well, should I?
Yeah, please do.
So we have the very good fortune of having friends, Rick and Linda Harrison Parsons, who were neighbors of Tyler as he was growing up, and Tyler's parents. And so we knew about the venture that was emerging there. Linda does our labels like this, or the Harley's Keep label is one of hers. So Linda does the labels, and they recommended that we consider that we be in touch with them. And as we found out that they were certified organic, and we're the oldest certified organic farm in the state, and the oldest certified organic orchard in the Middle Atlantic states, we thought that'd be a pretty good collaboration. And so we had a chance to meet them and really enjoyed talking with them. And they were willing to experiment because we were experimenting. And so we thought we should try this out. And they've become colleagues and friends. And we really enjoy the collaboration.
All right. Well, so far, the eau de vie is really, really good. I'm going to try the pear brandy next.
I have to agree with you. The eau de vie is really, really good.
I also probably made the bad decision of having a 10% beer with dinner.
Yeah, you got to layer, It's first 10% beer, then the brandies, and then the wines, and you'll be set.
It may be time for cheese and charcuterie.
Yeah. Maybe I can put that order in for upstairs. So, all right. Tell me about the pears and the pear.
Eric, I'll let you start and talk a little bit about the pears, and then I can talk a little bit about the aging process.
You bet. So the pears in the bequest. So we grow Asian pears, and we grow one type of European, now American pear called McManus. We grow Asian pears because they make good cider, and most pears don't make very good cider because they don't have much acid and they have no tannin. And so, but there are some Perry pears that do, and Asian pears do. And so those are the ones that we actually grow. And in bequest, we actually grow about 10 types. But the primary pears that are going to be in bequest, and the primary pears that are in what Braden and Tyler have done, are a combination of Chijuro, which is a Japanese pear. It's about 500 years old. It's been named only about 200 years, but it's been grown about 500 years in Japan. And it is a firm, crisp, relatively juicy Asian pear that has some sugar, not a huge amount. And then the second pear that's in there in good proportion is a Magnus, which is actually a pear that was bred in Beltsville, Maryland, and is immune to fire blight. So we can grow it successfully on an organic farm, and gives us really good sugar to go with it. And so those two things together ended up making the pear cider that is the basis of that's the primary pear mixture that's in one of our ciders called pairing, that we also add ginger and honey to as it's working. But that's the primary recipe for that. And so that's what we took to Braden to distill, the combination of the cider that was made from those.
So this is definitely very different.
Yes.
Not even remotely reminiscent of whiskey.
Yes. So this is definitely more of like a classic brandy. But like Eric was saying, he has such a cool blend of these pears that you get this spice from the Asian pears, and you don't get as much of that like bitterness in there. So this one, it distilled beautifully. It came out just gorgeous. So we wanted to kind of play up that spice component that you get in the Asian pears. So we aged this for a little over 2 years in a heavy char used spiced rum barrel, which is a kind of a weird choice for a brandy, but it really came out nice. And like a lot of the components of the rum kind of show up in this one. So you get a little bit of that vanilla in there. You get a little bit of that kind of cinnamon allspice taste to it. It's sweet, it's spicy, it's complex, and it has like just enough of the wood where it's not getting over tannic. You'll definitely taste like this is a really, a nice aged product, but it's not too overwhelmingly woody like you might get with some more traditional brandies.
So it's just whenever we took the camera away from you, did you hurry up and give yourself a compliment?
Yeah, of course. That must be Tyler on there.
So this is really good too. I like this. So is there anything different other process wise? Other than the type of barrels using, or is it basically the same?
So it's the base ingredients is different. So like the pear distilled very different than the eau de vie because it is a cider. There is a little bit more of those residual sugars, and you distill it through, and some of those sweeter components and those aldehydes come out a little bit more prevalently in the distillate. So it was distilled slightly differently, but really it was the barrel aging that really takes these in very different directions. I think the spiced rum barrel really, imparted a flavor that's very unique for a brandy, particularly a pear brandy.
I would definitely say it's the first pear brandy I've ever had, and I think I like it.
Yeah. Pear brandy was very popular in the very, very, very early days of American colonization here.
Was that because of a plethora of pear trees in the area, or was it just a popular drink?
Yeah, a lot of fruit and pretty rudimentary stills. So you can't be making things like gin, which was really popular at the time. It was mostly rye whiskey and brandies, apple and pear brandy, which is pretty cool.
I'm going to need you to talk about something while I try to fix my camera.
Sure. What would you like to talk about?
So when are these available? I don't think we've covered that yet.
Oh, yeah, that's the big one. So we'll have both of these are going to be available starting on May 28th. That's next Thursday. This is our first ever virtual release, so we're going to see how it goes. Usually we do releases. There's lines and crowds at the distillery. We're trying to cut that part out. So what's going to happen is we are going to launch it on our online ordering on our website at 10 o'clock in the morning. It is first come, first serve on the website, not at the distillery. So we've been telling people if you show up at the distillery without an online order, doesn't count. You won't be able to get your brandy. So order it online. We have very limited quantities available, but once you order and you have confirmed your order, you have until the end of June to pick it up. So plenty of time to space it out. You can come anytime, but the actual release is going to be on the 28th.
Will be available for delivery or only for
pickup? It will be available for delivery as well, and we're doing like I mentioned, it's free delivery within 30 miles of Frederick City.
Hi, Laura. It's my wife's cousin.
Nice.
I mean, I guess I'm sure there's some kind of term of what kind of cousin she is for me, but I have no idea what that means.
First cousin-in-law.
So yeah, we'll say that. So apparently other Pear brandies are not good.
I'll say I've had some Pear brandies when we were kind of doing research for this. A lot of times, like Eric said, they do tend to be a little bit on the sweeter side of things, which, you know, is a positive or negative depending on your taste. But with Eric's pears, you know, it's such a nice balance that you're not getting a ton of these really sweet compounds in there. And it's a really like, I would say it's a little bit more like nuanced and there's a little bit more depth to it and less of that kind of sweet note that covers up a lot of the beautiful things that are naturally in pears. So, yeah.
I like it. It's good.
Nice.
What else is available at McClintock right now? I haven't been paying real close attention on what you have in stock other than hand sanitizer.
Yeah, we have plenty of hand sanitizer still.
Wait, hold on one second there. Eric, what should I try first? The apple wine or the pear wine?
I would taste the pear first.
Okay.
Especially since you just had the pear.
All right.
You're going to find that the pear is, as Braden was saying, it's going to be a little sweeter than the apple and a little lighter than the apple. And that's a combination of both the fruit and the time in the barrel. So,
and much more manageable at only 17% alcohol. Not trying to kill me like Braden is.
It is only 17%. Yeah. So it's enough alcohol to be a dessert wine, and to have to pay that extra tax. But that is what it does.
That's really good. I hate wine. That's really good.
Thank you.
So maybe I just need to stick with non-grape wines. I've had a few wines I actually enjoyed, but that I would actually drink.
Thank you.
I'll say before I met Eric, I was a cider hater, and he showed me the light. The only things I had were those really, really sweet, you know, ciders that are out there, you know, the mass market stuff. I had no idea cider could be dry and complex and, you know, the really just incredible stuff. We send a lot of people his way. It's excellent stuff.
So is pear wine and like cider interchangeable or?
No. And so the pear wines, it's actually a perry. And so the legal distinction between that, if it has any apple in it, it has to be called a cider. If it just has pear in it, it's a perry. And so this is actually a perry. And so we make 3 different perries that are cider-like creatures, right? One that is a pear honey ginger, one that is 2 of the fruits of the world that are Asian pears, and one that is pear and our sour cherries. And so we do these 3 perries, and then we do a set of ciders that are the apple-based ciders, if that helps any. And so
it does.
And so the bequest is entirely a perry, and so it's made only from primarily Chijuro, but Chijuro, a little Surrey, a little Kasawi, and some Magnus pears that are in there.
So Mr. McManus is an alcohol connoisseur, and you're teaching him something, and me too. I'd never even heard of that before. So then tell me about apple wine. What exactly does that mean?
Okay, so the apple wine could be, it means that most of the fruit that's in it is apple, and so this one is only apple, and this one, the Harley's Keep that you're going to taste, is only the black twig apple, and so we decided to try something a little different. It's made like a pommeau, and so that's probably the right way to say that. And typically, when folks make a dessert apple wine, they use apples that don't really have tannin in them. And we decided that we wanted to try it with our black twig, because that's the apple that I think is the best cider apple that we grow. And so this one is only black twig. And Braden's apple brandy is basically only black twig. It might have a few other stray cores in there when the pressings went to him, but that's basically what it was.
So what's the difference then between the distinction of it being an apple cider or an apple wine?
Okay.
And this is absolutely delicious also.
Well, and so technically, I guess it has to do with alcohol content. Now, our ciders, the reason we are a winery, there are two reasons, I guess. Originally, in Maryland, it was illegal to make cider until our colleague Rob down at Distillery Lane and our friend Kevin Addix and Grow and Fortify worked with the state to get the law changed so that we could actually make cider in Maryland. And because you've got to make cider to distill it and do something else, right? But that allowed us to make cider, thankfully. And so cider at that time was up to about 5% alcohol. Now it can go, I think, to 7%. Because our apples come in so sweet, we don't add any sugar at all, and we don't back sweeten at all. And so it's just what comes in out of the orchard that we use, and it's our orchard basically that we use. And so when our fruit was fermenting above 7%, we had to be a winery.
Okay.
And so, and everything, all the ciders that we make basically are wines because they're all above 7%, because our fruit is sweet. And so they tend to range from about 7.2 to maybe 9.5, a little bit more maybe.
Yeah, this is really, really good. And don't worry, I think I held up the glass a couple times. It's the same one, but I'm not drinking out of the exact same glass. I just have multiple of the same looking glass. I don't want you to think I'm just pouring on top of each other like an animal.
But so they actually work well together. I will tell you that Lori tried. So she used these beautiful brandies from McClintock, and she used the two apple wines, and they made something very similar to a Manhattan, and just straight up like a Manhattan, and they were good.
That seems too advanced for me.
Combining two things in a cup and
well, it would be three because I would have to add it. Like I had the ice first, and then the spirit, and then if I have to go with a third thing, I'm destined to screw that up. Although I may give it a shot. Which one? Now that I'm feeling really good, which combination should I go with?
Which do you think, Lori?
Apple.
Apple, she says.
Okay. Which was the apple? This was the apple glass.
Treat the dessert wine like the vermouth.
Treat the dessert wine like the vermouth.
You assume that I have any idea what that means. You need to dumb it down a little bit further. You have to realize the majority of my drinking involves opening a can and pouring it into a glass.
Got it. So it's sort of 3 of that gorgeous brandy to 1 dessert wine.
That seems dangerous, though.
Oh, it is. It is.
And straight up.
And straight up. And it's not only dangerous, it's habit forming.
All right. So what you're saying is you're just trying to make me come out there and buy some more of this stuff. All right. I think I put the right things in the glass. Now, would I want this over ice, or would I want this not over ice?
I think that could work either way.
Okay.
I will tell you that what I tasted was not over ice, and it was really good. I think over ice would be just fine.
Right. I mean,
in fact, I might prefer it over ice. My wife would not.
I'm neat.
She says she's neat.
that's really good. Well, I mean, as a master mixologist, my number one cocktail is anything poured over ice.
That's pretty good. And this is the judge of our holiday cocktail competition, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, I think I did way better than I anticipated.
You did great.
How do I get involved in that? You know,
yeah, we'll bring you in for a celebrity judge cameo next year, Eric.
Okay.
Hopefully you can do that this year, because that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'd love to do it again, definitely, if we can.
And I'm definitely Ubering this time.
Yeah, and it ends up, I think you get like 6 or 7 mini cocktails out of it. So
I didn't get to try. I only tried the final ones because I was stupid and drove there. I am Ubering next time though, so I can just drink all of it.
For sure.
So I'm not going to try it tonight because I would feel sorry for my wife afterwards. Does the pear combination work just as well?
It does. It's just different. It will be a little sweeter, a little lighter. It will not have as much body.
Have you tried these combinations yet, Braden?
I have not, but we were talking about maybe doing like a quick cocktail demo video sometime before the release to show off, some really easy stuff to make with both of them. Yeah, and I really enjoyed them very much as well. So we'll be posting on our website for the release day links to Willow Oaks, so you can purchase both of the products that we're talking about tonight, as well as all of their other stuff as well, so you can make your own combos at home.
If anyone ever gives you the advice that there are programs that allow you to use an iPhone as a webcam, don't take that advice.
You're already messing up square one using an iPhone right there.
Yeah. It would definitely work so much better if I was on an Android phone crashing constantly.
It would.
All right. Give a rundown of how to acquire this again, Braden.
Sure. So our release, the 2 brandies, will be dropping May 28th. That's next Thursday at 10 a.m. on our website. So the only way to get these brandies are to order it on our website. Both are very limited runs. I think we have 170 of the eau de vie and about 150 of the pear brandies. So we're expecting them to go very fast. You can pre-order on our website as long as we have stock available. And then you can pick up anytime between that day and the end of June. We will save your bottles so you can spread everyone out and avoid some crowds at the distillery.
And Eric, where do people find Willow Oak, and how do they get your products?
So our website is Willow Oaks Craft Cider, and we have an online store now there that allows folks to purchase, and it's a guide to the ciders and whatever is available from the orchard and the farm at the same time, and it is an opportunity to come by and pick up.
And I'll put in a plug here for you. If you're feeling cooped up and you're stuck someplace and you need to get out, the drive out to Eric's place and his property is absolutely beautiful. And it's kind of feel wide open spaces finally.
It is a good place. I have to say, it's a good place to be quarantined. There's plenty of food, there's plenty of alcohol, and there's plenty of outside, and so it's a pretty good place to be quarantined.
Yeah, I thankfully have everything right there behind me.
Oh, there.
Um,
It's like, what the hell is he pointing
I
at?
don't know. I've had a lot of brandy.
Good. Good, Chris. You should. It's really good stuff.
I saw where was it? They give a blackberry apple, blueberry apple coming along. That sounds absolutely delicious.
So those are in process, and the apple and the pear we finally got out in December, I guess, and the blueberry apple and the blackberry apple, which are also things that Braden and Tyler have distilled for us. The base of those will be coming out. By the time we are picking blueberries and blackberries in the end of June is when we expect those to drop here. And so they are pretty good representations of that fruit and of the lovely spirits that we got to work with. And so we're happy about those too. They taste really good.
And who knows, by then maybe people even be able to come to your tasting room.
They might. My best guess is that perhaps by then folks will be able to be outside and do tastings. And I suspect that's a possibility.
And
Three Notched is a great brewery, James. Completely unrelated to what we're talking about, though.
I like
Cheers.
it.
We need to do a whole Willow Oak episode. I want to hear the backstory of Willow Oak and how you guys came to be and all that stuff. So once people are allowed to be around each other, we'll have to do that.
Maybe you could record it on his deck overlooking the cows.
Oh, that's a good idea, Braden.
Yeah, outside recording.
Yeah, we do have 24/7 cow television here. And so, it's not a bad way. We look toward Frederick at Braddock Heights, and so we get to see the ridge and the cows, and it's not bad. And we have a nesting pair of bald eagles, and on the property, so it's a pretty nice place.
I assume then that's why
yes,
Harry's Keep has
this
beautiful label.
Yeah, this is actually a painting that Linda did, and that's the mama eagle. So they didn't raise a baby this year, but they've raised them 5 years. So
wow,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to thank you too. I think I'm probably getting to the point where I need to stop blathering and just finish my advanced cocktail. I'm really proud of myself for this one.
You did well, Chris. You did very well.
You'll have to show that to Carly and Brian. I don't think they thought you were capable of doing that.
They don't think I'm capable of anything. You know how often I'm asked if we really hate each other?
There's a bad feud between Attaboy and Uncapped. It's rough in the streets of Frederick.
That's terrible.
I mean, most likely if I see him in public, I'll probably just stab him. All right. Thank you too. All four of these products were absolutely delicious. The two brandies and the apple wine and the pear wine. I really thank you for getting to try those because I don't think that's something I ever would have tried on my own.
Thank you for being brave.
Yeah.
And I joked with Tyler. I was like, I'm not trying any of this before we're live, and I'm going to tell people how bad it is.
That's true. You would see if it was bad.
I'm relieved.
I meant more for the brandies, but all right, gentlemen, you have a great evening.
Cheers. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you, everyone. Wait, we have one question. Can we get those in Southern Virginia? No, you cannot. Braden hates Virginia and will never sell his product there.
Yeah, sorry.
I think that might be a direct quote.
Blame your state distribution system.
And the taxes on spirits are ridiculous in Virginia, aren't they?
Yes.
So no, James, you'll have to
Virginia at some point.
you need to drive up to Maryland to try some. All right, everyone. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank
Cheers. Good night.